Hey everyone, welcome. Let's get right into it. This guide is brought to you by the experts over at Pro Tax Accountant, and we're tackling a big one, making tax digital exemptions. We'll figure out who doesn't need to join and exactly how to apply if you think you qualify for digital exclusion.
So, let's start with a massive question that's probably on your mind if you're a small business owner or a landlord here in the UK. Are you actually being forced to go digital with your taxes? It really feels that way, doesn't it? Well, you might be surprised to hear that for a lot of people, the answer is no. You might not have to.
Okay, before we dive into the good stuff, the exemptions, let's do a super quick refresh. What even is Making Tax Digital, or MTD, and who does it really affect? Let's break it down.
All right, so in a nutshell, MTD is basically HMRC's huge plan to drag the tax system into the 21st century. It means you have to keep digital records and use special software to send in your tax info for both that and, the big one, income tax self-assessment. So yeah, it's a major shift away from paper records or just, a simple spreadsheet.
Now, these are the dates you really need to have circled on your calendar, especially if you're a sole trader or a landlord. Starting April 2026, if your income is over £50,000, you're in. Then a year later in 2027, that drops to £30,000. And then again in 2028, it goes down to £20,000. See the pattern? Each year, that net gets wider, pulling more and more people in. It's coming, for sure. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. What if I told you some people get an automatic get-out pass? Yep, that's right, no applications, no hassle, they're just exempt. So who are these lucky folks?
All right, have a look at this list. It's pretty specific, right? So if you fall into one of these groups, like say you're a foster carer in Manchester, that specific income from fostering is automatically exempt. You literally don't have to do anything. But, and this is a really important but, if you also have a side hustle, maybe you sell crafts online, that income is not exempt. You'd still need to deal with MTD for that part of your business.
And here's a great pro tip that shows how these exemptions can really help. Imagine a small bakery in Birmingham that's really struggling and has to go into liquidation. Well, the good news is they're automatically exempt from MTD for VAT. It's a bit of crucial breathing room when things are incredibly tough. Okay, so what happens if you're not in one of those automatic groups? Does that mean you're stuck? Not at all. Let's talk about the most common way people can get an exemption. This is the one you really need to know about. It's called being digitally excluded.
So what on earth does HMRC actually mean by digitally excluded?
It sounds a bit technical, but it's pretty simple. It's their official term for when it's just not reasonably practical for you to use digital tools to do your taxes because of your specific personal situation.
And these are the big three reasons HMRC will actually listen to. We're talking about things like age or a disability that genuinely stops you from using a computer. Or maybe you live somewhere so remote you just can't get internet. Think of a 72-year-old farmer up in the hills of Cumbria with no broadband. He actually got an exemption for that exact reason. And finally, there are religious beliefs that are just incompatible with modern tech. These are what they consider valid.
Now listen up, because this is super important. You have to be really careful because HMRC is also crystal clear about what they won't accept. Just not liking computers? Nope. Finding the software a bit tricky? Not gonna fly. Worried about the cost or saying you only have a few sales a month? Sorry, those won't be enough to get you an exemption. But hang on, don't get disheartened. Check out this number. In 2024, a whopping 68% of people who applied for an MTD for VAT exemption were successful. That's more than 2/3. It just goes to show that if you have a real, genuine reason, HMRC does listen, and your application has a really good chance. Okay, so let's say you're listening to this and thinking, hey, that sounds like me. If you believe you qualify, how do you, actually do it? Let's walk through the steps.
Right, here's the game plan, broken down into 5 simple steps. Step 1, and honestly, this is the most crucial part. Get your evidence ready. Before you even think about calling them, get that doctor's note or a letter from your internet provider confirming you have no service. Once you've got your proof, then you contact HMRC. You can call or write to them, explain your situation clearly, and give them your tax reference number. After that, you wait for their decision. They usually get back to you within about a month. And if they say no, don't panic, you can appeal.
And here's another pro tip for you. When you write that letter or email to HMRC, don't write a novel. Keep it super concise and right to the point, just like this template here. Clearly state who you are,
what you're asking for, and exactly why. Make it easy for them to say yes.
And I really want to stress this. An initial rejection is not the end of the road. Seriously, don't give up. There was a landlord in Powys who applied and got turned down, but she appealed, this time with a proper letter from her GP explaining her visual impairment. And guess what? She won. That just shows you solid evidence can completely turn things around.
Wow, okay, we have covered a lot of information. So let's just pause for a second and boil it all down to the most important things you need to remember. So really, it all boils down to one simple question. Which of these two paths are you on? Are you in one of those very specific groups that gets an automatic pass where you don't have to do a thing? Or do you need to actively apply for digital exclusion based on your own personal circumstances? Figuring that out is the absolute first step. Which leaves us with one final thought, really. With everything we've talked about, could you be one of the thousands of people out there who can actually and legally avoid this whole MTD switch? It's definitely worth checking.
Look, if any of this feels a bit much, or if you're just not sure where you stand, please don't struggle on your own. The team at ProTax Accountant are absolute experts in this stuff, and they're here to help guide you. You can give them a call or drop a message on WhatsApp at 07985 689 or just send an email to info@protaxaccountant.co.uk. And hey, for more guides just like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button on their YouTube channel. Thanks so much for tuning in.